So we know, for example, in a place like Nigeria, we used to have what is called prisons. We used to have what is called Nigerian Prison Service. And now what used to be called prison is now called correctional centers or custodial centers. And what used to be called Nigerian Prison Service is now called Nigerian Correctional Service. And this is by virtue of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019. Now, you would see that different countries decide the name for that they need to give the agency that look after persons who we want to keep separated from the society for a while. So you have countries that still call it prisons. You still have countries that call it correctional service. You also have countries that have a mixture. I mean, I think for a country like Fiji and Zimbabwe, they use both terms. So in Zimbabwe and Fiji, they use the word prison service and prison and correctional service. So together, prisons and correctional service together. Now, somebody may say, what is actually in the name? What is in the name? There's a whole lot in the name. So, basically, if you ask yourself, the people that are processed and kept in the place we used to know as prisons, which I have said now is now known as correctional centers or custodial centers in Nigeria, you ask yourself, for what purpose? So what is the objective for using that facility? There are several reasons, and these are things you see in both in school theory, theories of prisons, what they call penology, which is theories or studies of prisons, or when people who study criminology would tell you the same thing. So you have factors such as deterrence. You are saying, I want somebody to be kept, so I would deter that person from committing that offense again. So you have that as specific deterrence. Then you have also the notion whereby you say, I want others who need to be deterred from what I'm doing to this particular offender, where you call general deterrence. So there is this rationale that you need to have a place to keep people so that they can be deterred from committing crime. You need to keep people away from this place so that they can be incapacitated for that particular moment as a way of deterrence or as a way of preventing them from committing the offense. Some other reason is that they say, I want to punish, and that's part of the initial reason why you had this people. I want to punish you back. You did something wrong. I want to have opportunity of giving it back to you, an eye for an eye. So there is the punishment component. But along the line, it became clear that many people who commit offenses commit it because of certain other factors, a lot of other factors which are known as risk factors. And therefore, you need a treatment model. You need people to be brought in so that you work with them to change them, to reform them. And from that, you want to begin to look at ways of rehabilitating them. And from that, you need to look at ways of providing opportunity to prepare them for the eventual resettlement or reintegration back in the society. Because everyone you find processed in the so-called prison or the correctional centers, unless they die in that place, will come out someday. And therefore, there is a need to think about how you can move them from an offending behavior pattern to a non-offending behavior pattern. You ask the question, what is corrections? So when you look at the reason where you say, I need to have this person so that I can change the person, I can correct that person from that particular behavior that is frowned by the society, from that behavior that is actually violating the set laws of the state, to a place where it becomes a law-abiding citizen. So the notion of correction becomes clear. So you are saying, let's call this thing correction, and that's the argument, so that people understand that the reason why these people are being processed is not just because we want to keep them, incapacitate them, imprison them, but we have an intention, and that intention is that we want to change them. We want to correct them. We want to reform them. We want to rehabilitate them. We want to provide opportunity for them to reduce that chances of them be offending in future. So that's why a lot of time people say, use the term correction, because that correction gives you a worldview, so that you know that that person, once the person has been brought to your facility, you have a role, a critical role, which is a role to look at ways of correcting that wrong behavior. But let me say this so that we don't get into a mood that is almost too simplistic, believing that everybody you find in this facility is actually an offender. No. I always make it a point of duty to tell people there are 3 major categories of people you find in places of correction, or correctional centers, or the so-called prison. There are these 3 categories. One are those who are innocent, who didn't do anything. So if somebody is innocent and didn't do anything, now somebody may say, but then why correct? So again, when people are innocent and didn't do anything, oftentimes we look at the environment, perhaps because they are poor or some other things, they have been processed, or the right person who have been wrongly accused, and therefore the law must be used in such a way to provide speedy processing and get these people out and compensate them when they have been wrongly kept. So again, it's important for us to understand that there are people who are in there who are innocent. The second is those persons who are there who have committed offenses, but these offenses are so minor. They are petty offenders, they are minor offenders, and there is no need to put them in a place where you say you are imprisoning them, I'm incapacitating them, I'm punishing. You rather want, again, to see how do I deal with this person and the situation around the person to correct whatever they have done so that they won't do it again, or correct the reaction of the society to whatever they have done, which perhaps rather than say you are criminalizing somebody who is a petty offender, you may be able to say, are you not criminalizing poverty? So rather than that, you're thinking of what can I do to provide jobs for these people, to provide opportunities for these people not to be in this position. And I give a very clear example. Let's say somebody who is hawking. I say, oh no, you're not supposed to hawk here. And then you back the person, and before you know the person, you ask the person for a fine. And if the person can't pay fine, you go and lock up the person in a custodial center. That is criminalizing poverty. Another response to it would be, okay, you are hawking here, you are not supposed to hawk here. Then I provide a facility for you where you're supposed to go to. And then it's, so you create that notion. So my point here is that when you talk about the issue of correction, it's also important to understand that you are looking at the individual person and dealing with the issues that need to reduce their chances of coming back to that particular place again, chances of offending, as if they actually offended in the first instance. Then the big issue, which is a main concern, is those persons who are really key offenders, serious offenders, hardened offenders. So no matter how bad a criminal is, there is a reason why that criminal have acted in the form there. They may not be justified, but there are reasons. So these are things you call risk factors. Maybe there are people who are using drugs. Maybe there are people who are following background. Maybe there are people who have serious personality disorders. Maybe there are people who have little education, no job skills, no social skills, no communication skills, and all the rest of that. So by the notion of correction, you are looking at, I am seeing this individual as an individual who is in need of addressing these risk factors that have put them in that position. So in summary, the word correction puts you or puts a correctional officer in the mood to understand that they are there to provide interventions that will deal with those things that made the person to be an offender, okay? To correct, as again being a punitive. Punitive means punishment. So you're talking about correcting, changing the situation, modifying the situation, behavior modification, changing the behavior of the person, changing the situations that made that person what they are, as against the situation where you are dealing with punishment, punishing the person.